Don't you think that new media like social networking sites, for instance, could be of help in that, creating a community around a movie, or even involving the audience in the process of making the film before the film? Some experiments are being conducted at this festival right now.
For me, when I budget a film, as important as the writer is, I like to have a very young kid who understands the technology and the social networking world, because I certainly can't do that type of work myself on the computer, but somebody who would start at the same time as the screenwriter and the director to start building a social network around that.
It's easy to think, and we are perhaps encouraged to think about the movie associated with the name of the director. Maybe in some other quarters it's more the name of the star. And we don't take into account the fact that there's the filmmaking is a process involving a huge number of people from the very beginning to the very end. So the argument could be, it is interactive as it is happening. So the very fact that suddenly the issue of interactivity is raised yet again, it's, you know, a self-defeating question, because it's already there as part of the process.
I come from a country where tribes are very, very important. We've looked at a word called cyber tribalizing, or cyber tribes, where people can now become and belong to numerous virtual tribes, where they are for many years, like they can belong to their old school club, or whether that tribe can exist for the period of a film's release. So what we're trying to do is to create ourselves virtual tribes around the release of our films.
Internet is a real revolution from my point of view, more than the digital support or things like that. Internet is the fabulous, I see it like a fabulous opportunity to have a link, as you said, with people all around the world. It means that you are not obliged now to seduce a big amount of big mass in your own country, in your own place, but you can have a little niche, they call it niche, everywhere in the world, which at the end makes are more efficient than being the king of your village. So it's a big change.
The internet is an incredible opportunity to be able to screen and view the very rich and wide history of world cinema. And at one point, I'm sure Google will have catalogued every single film ever made in every single country, and it will be available on a digital format at some point in time, which I think is both a good thing and a complicated thing. Good for viewers and for people who want to consume that, but difficult for the rights and the ownership of all of it in that regard. But I think if we look at the music industry and learn from what has happened there, all cinema will be freely available over the net, whatever we want to do about it or not. I come from a place where we try to copy everything and not pay for anything, which isn't really the right way to go. But you know, we're surrounded by countries that don't have copyright laws, that don't believe in copyright. And our pirates complain to the police that we are trying to work in their space. And piracy, for me, is actually a great form of marketing. And we have to engage with the pirates and get them to market our material. And it becomes a question of price, and that we have to make it as cheaply and freely available. And you know, all these theories then kick in, the long tail theory, et cetera, et cetera. And I mean, for me, that is really the future.
What we're talking about is more about telling a story that's personal and meaningful, and you hope that an audience can connect, and that there's a genuine urgency to your own methods and stories. So the idea of an audience telling you how to tell your story, just as if Vermeer would sit around and someone would say, a little more green there, it seems preposterous to me, I have to admit. It seems absurd. But on the other hand, I love the internet. I love the both anonymous and democratic nature of it. I love YouTube. I love the idea of it being both a jungle and a garden, that you can pick things out, that you can make discoveries, that you can retrieve things from oblivion. Again, there's a question of quality of the image. But we're looping back. I was reading recently about the early invention of movies, the Edison films, the kinetoscope, I think it's called. You know, movies started as private little devices that you look at that aren't that different from your cell phone, and we've looped around. So every innovation and invention, it's back to what you were saying, has a way of being rediscovered, reapplied, and it really does go back, though, to who's telling the stories, who's making the images, what are their intentions, and they can be brilliant or degraded, innocent or corrupt, depending on it. I don't think it's defined by technology. So.
Regarding the very good final words of Michael, they were final words defined already. So I would just tag on that because no period in film history has been more reminiscent of the present one as the first years of cinema. So when in the film school, if I kind of talk to the kids who don't, by the way, the kids now, also in the film school, they don't know, there is not one film of reference you can mention. They would know, perhaps Star Wars, but nothing else. So that's the kind of low point of film civilization. But they immediately, when you start showing these oldest films, they take them as their own films. They love them. But then when we come to the 1920s, you are in difficulty. 1930s, almost impossible. So you see that these are going like this, and that's a promise, I would say.
So that's how we are back to the future.
Back to the future, exactly. It's the definition of that.
Well, maybe that's a nice word to end this panel discussion. I would like to thank the audience and the members of the panel for their contributions to the panel, and I hope that we have got a clear picture of the current state of cinema, or maybe a more troubled state picture even, that might even be more productive. Thank you.